everyone. I'm going to talk about how I almost died 4 times in. I can't do math, so let's just say. I died 3 times. Almost died 4 times within 6 years, I guess, would be pretty accurate. I know I made videos about a couple of them, around 2018, 2019 I had one. I didn't make one about February 6th. I know I made a few when I was in the hospital after my appendicitis um, finally got discovered. And then I don't think I talked about the septic shock one. So I will go through all of them. So 2019, I was feeling like crap and getting worse. My abdomen was hurting. I was like shaking, and like one Friday I just kept on getting worse hour by hour, and mom was not wanting to take me to the doctors. And my doctor gave instructions that if I felt like that I should go in, but my mom was not taking me in. So I had my, and you should never do this unless it's an absolute emergency. Like mine was. Normally you should call 911, but I was under 18, so mom could have refused the paramedics. So what I did is I called my doctor's personal number because I had it. The doctor was awesome. I love them, and I'm glad I saved it, because I had to call them and say, I know this is really out of boundaries. Here's what's going on. And he said, okay, I'm going to talk to your mom. There's going to be a hospital room waiting for you and stuff. And then mom got angry that I did that. Because he talked to her, was not happy with her. And instead of calling 911, she used an Uber or Lyft. Sorry, y'all, I know you're not meant for emergencies. And there was a room waiting for us. Mom was angry. She didn't realize how sick I was till they started giving me IV antibiotics. And I also got oral, but I was really, really, really sick. And turns out I had abdominal infection plus ovarian cyst burst. And I also almost needed a blood transfusion. So I was really sick, right? I was on doxycycline, which is a really heavy duty antibiotic, for 19 days straight. Almost 20 days. Second one, February 6th, 2023. Jeez, I almost died 3 times this year. Was my parents, we ordered out, we ordered some food from a restaurant I was eating. I noticed my heart was going too fast, and it just went faster. And one time I counted it, and it was over 200 beats per minute. And Dad, had me dessert. I was put it in the fridge. I need to call 911. He was thrown off, and I was sitting there. Mom was annoyed, because of course she was. Sitting there. Paramedics and fire rescue come in. They check my heart rate rhythm. They go quiet, right? And I'm just sitting there going, oh fuck, I'm dying. And they basically, because I was sitting in my wheelchair, they jogged the wheelchair down to the ambulance. And on the way there, I kept on going please don't let me die. This is just back and forth from don't let me die to I don't want to die this way to I'm determined not to die. They were gonna give me adenosine because my heart was over 240 beats per minute. SVT, super ventricular tachycardia, which means part of my heart, the ventricles, which are 2 chambers of the heart, were beating too fast. So it's not a very good rhythm to be in. They wanted to give me adenosine, which is a drug that would slow down your heart. But they couldn't administer an IV, so they just drove faster, right? um, go to the hospital. At that point, somehow I pulled myself out of the abnormal rhythm. So I was just sinus tachy, meaning my heart was beating at a regular rhythm but too fast. And so sinus tachycardia. So like my heart was beating like at like, you know, healthy, like no SVT, was just beating too fast but at a regular rhythm. And so the doctor wanted to send me home right away, and I was like, you went to medical school, you should know, just because things look fine now doesn't mean they will be later. He reluctantly went to talk to cardiology. 5 minutes later, he comes and he's like, we're gonna do this treatment, like, yeah. Third time was appendicitis. I've been having, this was like, mid-May, late May this year. Fucking bad pain for 3 months, right? So this particular doctor that I'm going to talk about, I had a previous bad experience, so I do not trust her. Long story short is she was putting a catheter in, and I was concerned about pain, and she said, "Oh, stop if you say stop." I remember crying and I think saying, did they stop? No. So that's just background of this particular doctor. I got sent to the ER because I was in that much pain. Originally, we thought it was ovaries. And, you know, I got sent to the ER specifically for a CAT scan. This doctor refused to do a CAT scan, wanted to do an internal ultrasound, and explained to her that I would need conscious sedation because of how painful it was. And she refused to do it. She's like, "We'll just give you one like milligram of Ativan to cut the edge to just cut the edge off." And I'm like, that is not gonna help. Even 2 milligrams of Ativan did not help on it last time they tried. And long and short of it was, she was like, "I'm not gonna bargain with you," because she was treating me like a fucking drug seeker. And like, what the fuck, man? Just what in actual hell? I'm not about that, but I was just being treated like that. Patient in the waiting room heard what was going on. She was not okay with it. This connects to the appendicitis. I think a week or two later, in 1 hour I fall 5 times, so I go for falling. But in the ER, I asked to do a CAT scan because my abdomen pain is keeping me from sleeping well, so they did a CAT scan. This time, which they normally didn't do, they made me drink some oral contrast. My appendix is inflamed. Like, you know things are bad when the doctor himself walks in half an hour after you get a CAT scan. So that happened, and my appendix was inflamed. If only that doctor did the CAT scan, they would have noticed my appendicitis a week or two earlier. Or if they made me drink the oral contrast, they would have noticed it sooner. Within 12 hours of the doctor talking to the surgeon and me talking to the surgeon, I got the appendix removed. And they're giving me Tylenol like every day, and then my liver function started falling, so they had to take me off that because I was like in the very beginning stages of liver failure. I also had to have Haldol because of hallucinations, and my psych symptoms were getting really bad. So that's why they put the catheter in, because the Haldol made me not be able to pee. And I got released from the hospital. Like, if they didn't do that surgery, within a couple months I'd probably be dead. So it wasn't as fast as any of the others could have been, but it would have been slow and painful. And then less than 40 hours of me being home from the hospital, I had a home health / hospice nurse come. Not that I was like dying at home, but I had home. She was also worked as a hospice nurse, and she had to change my catheter because like it was plugged or clogged or something. It was not draining correctly. So that was like, because I got released Monday, she came Wednesday, and then within 12 hours of her changing the catheter, because it was a new one, and it was still hurting. She thought it was not supposed to happen, but like, um, she didn't originally think it was that bad until like several hours later. I called her back, going, "I'm worse. I'm in pain." And so then she said to call 911, and I did. And by the time, because that was like, yeah, less than 12 hours since she came. So she came at 10. I went at like 4, 5, 6 p.m. By the time the EMT saw me, there was blood in my catheter. One word discussion in the back of the ambulance before I left was lights, lights. So they went, not with sirens, but they had their lights on. They had the goddamn lights on, right? And then they go to the ER. Still with a catheter, right? I was like diaphoretic, aka pale. A nurse, there was like one person cleaning the hospital room I was going to. One nurse took one look at me and fetched 4 more people to clean that room. And we were talking about why I had that catheter, this and that. That night I started giving IV antibiotics, and this doctor, he tried to send me home that night despite giving me IV antibiotics. And I was like, if you send me home, I'm going to call 911 and come back, and I'm going to continue to do that until you admit me to the hospital. Because I knew if I went home, I just had a feeling that I wouldn't make it. You know, that I just wouldn't make it. And so he went to talk to the hospitalist, and you know, I have found out I was going to the hospital. Knock, knock. Transport. Where to take me? To the hospital? Yeah. The doctors didn't notify me. Weird. So, and that night they like outright asked, they normally never do this, but they outright asked my consent to be treated in the ICU. They also sent in a spiritual advisor, who was creepy, by the way. So that is how sick I was. I was going into septic shock, and my parents again didn't realize how sick I was, so the doctor had to outright tell them, especially mom, because she told this shit. And there's some stuff that happened that I'm not gonna talk about, because let's just say the social worker got notified and leave it at that. So I'm gonna touch up now, because I went through all the 4 experiences. I'm gonna touch up on one of them, the February 6th incident. Like, while I was in the ambulance and still conscious, right, vacillating between the I don't want to die, please don't let me die, I'm determined not to die phase, I like saw the other side, like some of my friends in the afterlife. One of them was like, you're not supposed to be here, what the fuck are you doing here, you're not supposed to die yet. And I'm like, I know. And I was like, I think as we got close to the hospital, I was more determined, like, nope, I'm not gonna die this way. This is not happening. I'm not dying this way. EMTs don't know how I pulled myself out of it. They're like... and I'm like, I guess I pulled myself out of it with sheer determination? And they're like, yeah, probably. So... that was, interesting. And then... oh my god, that doctor, fucking, I don't know what it is with doctors trying to send me home, right? Because I'm like, that doctor tried to send me home. So, there are hospitals that I will just not go to anymore. because of my various experiences, y'all might have different experiences than me, and that's perfectly fine. But Adventist, that was the hospital that tried to send me home with the with my heart stuff without doing anything. I guess they thought they could get away with it because of the cardiology appointment soon. I'm like, nah, in the interim, what if this happens again? You need to do something now. So yeah. I actually did say in the interim, like I went all fancy on it. um, you know. And I don't know what the fuck was with OHSU, that particular ER that day, with that particular doctor. Um, I guess she thought just because I went from an OHSU outpatient clinic that she didn't need to listen to them or something. I don't know. Um, but you could have killed me. I don't trust you. If I ever see you again, I will refuse your service. Like, enough is enough. Um, that doctor may be fine with other patients, just not me. Um, and then that doctor that tried to send me home that Wednesday night. What the hell, man? You know you're not supposed to send someone home if you give them IV antibiotic, especially Cipro, because the FDA has given so many warnings about it. It's a last resort antibiotic anyway, but to give it IV, that is like last resort. Hell, there's even a name for it. It's called being floxed. Like, what? But thank you to the surgeons and doctors the week before. Like, y'all saved my life. Thank you. So yeah, those are my near-death experiences. If you have questions, shoot them out in the comments. I will talk to y'all later.